quick after-action report on Skyhawk, Rolling Thunder 1966. This is a solitaire game designed by Steve Dixon and Bob Best from Legion Wargames, which were kind enough to send me this, so thank you for that. I'd like to talk about Skyhawk a little bit on what happened in my mission, but also try to cover a little bit of the gameplay, but this will not be exhaustive. So do not use this to learn how to play the game unless you want to learn how to play it wrong. Anyway, so Skyhawk is a kind of a charty solo game. I talk a little bit about that in a lot of my videos on charty solo games, but I'll put a link to my unboxing of this game in the description, and you can see some of the contents and some of the discussion about my first impressions in that video. This gameplay is relatively smooth. Again, there's a lot of charts, there's a lot of following a sequence of play, and this turn sequence guide is very helpful in that. One note, I wish they would have listed the charts that you go to, or the charts and tables. They list the rules, which is good, but I mean, you're basically living in this book here once you kind of get through the rules. The rules are fine. There's a lot to them, but there's a lot of campaign game, and kind of taking this with multiple flights and multiple pilots and planes and over a long period of time and doing several missions. So there's a lot of rules for that. The rules for just the game itself are not that complicated, although they are they're not broken out into sub chapters. There's like long paragraphs of the rules, and sometimes they might go on for pages, where you're kind of hunting and pecking for what rule you're looking for. They might have several concepts in a long section that are only separated out by paragraphs, but not numbered paragraphs. Just a little minor thing there that for me, it's a little bit harder to find the rule that you're looking for or understand what you're supposed to do if you have to kind of hunt through several unnumbered paragraphs. Just a minor thing for me. Anyway, completely, no issues with playability, completely fine in that respect. It's just it took me a little bit of extra time going through some of the stuff. As I said, you're going to be living in this charts and tables, and this charts and tables do everything from when you launch, and then what you can potentially have random events, or the weather could affect that. You're going to be refueling right off right out of the box, and because this is all based on the simulation of air missions in 1966, and the amount of fuel tanks and where you had to go in country on your mission. So you're going to be refueling there, and there's going to be a lot of attacks. The charts that you're going to be dealing with the most is this enemy fire charts, where depending on what your altitude is, if you're at high altitude, you don't have to worry about small arms, but or medium or high altitude, but you're going to be dealing with small arms, anti-aircraft, artillery, SAM batteries, and MiGs. And you're going to be doing that several times. You're going to be doing that in your in this box. You're going to be doing that in your target approach. You're going to be doing that over the target. You're going to be doing that in the target exit. You're going to check for a fuel check there. Then you're going to come back to the target approach. You're going to get another round of this, another round there, another round there. Then there's a fuel check, and then you're on your way home. So most of the game is this right here, is dealing with the enemy attacks. Now, you're not alone, or at least, I wasn't. I mean, I rolled really, really well. I got a veteran. I just wanted to do one mission just to get a feel for this. So I got a veteran pilot, which helps, gives you a lot of modifiers. I end up having 6 assets or unit supports, the support units. And when you pick your support units, you want to pick stuff that can cover these different areas. So look, if you see this right here, this covers ECM. Now ECM doesn't do an attack, but you put it up there, it's going to give you modifiers on anti-aircraft, artillery, and SAMs. Kind of gives you a +1 for every one you put up there. But you can put this in the ECM box, you can put that in small arms, you can put that in anti-aircraft artillery, and you can put that in SAMs. So, they're very flexible. This one right here can do small arms, artillery, and MiGs. And this one right here, these can do small arms, artillery, SAMs, and MiGs. So, you want to have a good assortment of those to give you flexibility to take these out, because most of the game is in this space right here. As you see several different attacks there. You also have several fuel checks. Those aren't quite as bad. I mean, if you roll really bad, I mean, it could be really bad. You can, could kind of end the mission for you. But and you have several of those, but your percentage of having something go wrong there is pretty low. I mean, you even have to, when you land, you have to trap. You have to kind of catch the hook on the aircraft carrier. That could go bad. You have to roll for that. But again, the percentage chance is very, very low for that. So they're covering all the different features of combat missions or these air missions in 1966. And they're giving them, I assume, appropriate percentages to deal with those different things there. These right here, hopefully you don't have to deal with. This is when you get shot down, if you survive that, and and how you deal with that. So hopefully you never have to deal with that box, or you can just plane can be destroyed, and there you have it. But as I said, a lot of it's done here. Once you get over the target, then there's the bombing, and that's where your ordnance really comes into play. A lot of the DVG games where you have a build out of your the leader games and even their warfighter stuff. There's all about the build out, what weapons and what ordnances you're going to use. That's very key here. You've got to, depending on what your target is. I had a area 4 target. It was what was that? It was Zombang, which was an ammunitions depot. So I had to have an extra 300-pound fuel tank on me, and then you have your build out of what you can where you can put it on each of these pylons. You got a left outboard, a left inboard, right outboard, right inboard, and you got a center, and it tells you what you can put in there, and then what your load limit is for all that. So you can't load up, you can't overload. And you want to pick your ammunitions or your ordnances that fit with the mission. In my mission, it was a area mission. So when you're looking at area missions, you're looking at what ordnance can actually hit that. And so you're going to be looking at this chart at the very beginning. Once you determine your mission, I've got an area mission. So these are the things that can hit. If it says yes, you can hit it, but I was also trying to put ordnance that had a +1 die modifier, because you want to be on target. Whenever you're over target, if you get through all this combat, you're gonna roll to see if you're on target. If you're on target, then the percentage chances go up dramatically of how much damage you're gonna do. And that's all the name of the game here, is to do as much damage in as many runs as you think you can do and survive, and then get back safely to the plane, or to the aircraft carrier. So there's a lot of decisions in this game. There's actually probably more decisions than the classic B-17 Queen of the Skies, which this is a derivative of, or based on, or is a legacy of. And there is more decisions here. You have a build out here. That's going to be key on what you put, and there's rules on how you put this on here. You got to balance it. So if you put some rockets on one side, you got to put them on the other side, and bombs and the like. So there are some rules, not only these charts of what you can put in there, but how you have to balance it out. And that's the key to the game. I mean, that's the big prize, is your bombing. I did very well in this game. for my first mission. I think I probably played everything right, but you never know. I'll learn more as I play it. I only got hit a few times, and you have like major hits, which are, and I wrote on this, I've made copies. You have a nice thick, this is thick, and you can get a nice card bound version of this Skyhawk mission record, but I made copies of it so I can mark off and do stuff. But you're going to mark off major damage, like I hit in the nose and the wing. You'll mark that off, and then there's subsystems that you mark off, like electrical systems. And then the more of these things, like if you lose so many of these, you can actually get shot down by damage that you take, or some of these might affect your bomb run or landing or what have you. They might affect other aspects of your mission. How did I do? I mean, I did really well. My first run, I got like 60%. My second run, 45%. And technically, you're done then, because your goal is to get 100% over the target. But I kept going because then you get points based on that. That's kind of your victory points. And so you're going to round down your total damage to 100%. But for point purposes, you can just keep going. So I ended up having 201%. So I feel pretty good about that. Anyway. Now that was just one mission. There is a whole campaign system in this, and there's like different rules on how you do the missions and how you kind of level up, I guess, as a pilot, and other stuff is added to it. And there's all kinds of medals and awards and decorations and stuff that you can get over time, and you can really make it more of a role-playing type of a game of sorts. So there's quite a bit here. As I said, this was interesting. I just wanted to get a feel for this game. And again, a lot of the game is right here in the middle of it, middle of this board, fighting with the enemy forces. So you're going to be, really living on a lot of these pages right here, where you're going to assign your support units. Now, I ended up having 6 support units. If I didn't have that many support units, I wouldn't have been able to do as many bomb runs, and I wouldn't have been able to do, I would have gotten kind of messed up a little bit more than I did. Those guys really had my back, they had my wing. So you're going to be playing in this space a lot, assigning your support units and trying to knock them out, if you knock them out, they're knocked out, or you can suppress them, and there's a negative modifier if they're suppressed. And it's different for small arms, anti-aircraft, artillery, SAMs, and MiGs. And then if they get through, then they can attack you, and it depends on your altitude and what you roll, and there's modifiers for that. And then once there's hits, they're automatically, if they're engaged a unit, they're going to knock out that unit. Otherwise, they're going to be hitting you, and then this is where you roll to see where your hits are at on your plane. That stuff's kind of reminiscent of the B-17 and the like. If you get to the bombing run, it's going to be dependent on what ordnance you're using. So, like I had this Lao-10 here. These are rockets. They had to be at low altitude, which put me in striking distance of the small arms stuff. You're going to roll to see if you're off target or on target, and you get modifiers based on that. And then you roll to see what your bombing run did. And this is your bombing run. It's going to be a percentage from anywhere from 20% up to 60%. And if you roll a 9, you get to roll 3 dice, three more 10-sided dice, and add that to the total, so you can get up to 99, I guess, or something like that on there. I guess it would be 97. I don't know. I have to look at the 98. Anyway, if you're off target, though, it's really hard to get. I mean, you have to roll at least a 5 or higher, and you got 5, 5, 10, 10. So, I mean, it's really, if you're off target, you're not going to do as much damage. Isn't that logical? Anyway, and there's modifiers for this as well. But most modifiers are dealing with the ordnance systems. And if something's happened, like if you lost one side of your bomb or rockets, then that's going to affect the other side and stuff like that. You keep track of your pilot, you keep track of your rank or level, you keep track of wounds, you keep track of altitude, and everything else on this chart over here. This is just a place to keep your ordnance, and then everything else kind of plays in this space right there. So there you have it. Again, this isn't meant to be exhaustive. This is just kind of my feel for it after a mission. I've kind of been kicking around with it a little bit, but I didn't do a full mission. I was just kind of trying to understand the rules a little bit. It's really not that hard. It's very sequential, and it's just chart to chart, right? Anyway, that's what I have for you today. Love to know what you think about this. If you've played it, if you've played anything like this, what are my so-called charty solo games like B-17 and now I'm drawing a blank of a bunch of other charty war games out here. But I mean, the Target for Today, Target for Night, which are I think by one of the same designers here, has some of that same feel. I have not played those, but I have seen those. If you like this type of game and like adding your own narrative to it and kind of what's happening and how you did on the bomb run and how you're doing with your damage and how you're developing your pilots, then this is a game for you. This fits right in that space and it scratches that itch. If you like something a little bit, if you don't like as many charts and you don't like rolling dice as much, you want to make more decisions and the like, then this might not be your cup of tea. And this really takes a lot of your own mental effort to get into this space and get into the cockpit of these pilots and try to experience what they're doing and be in the moment. It takes a little bit of mindscape there. So, and if you don't like that or don't want to spend time on that, don't want to roll dice, then this isn't your game. But anyway, hopefully this was helpful to you. Thanks so much for stopping by. Again, I want to thank Legion Wargames. This is a very nice game, the way it's presented. Even if I have a few niggles about the rules, it was all there. It's fine. It works. It's just the organization took me a little bit to dig through some stuff, but everything works. Again, you're really living in this book right here most of the time. And so anyway, love to know your thoughts on any of this stuff or nothing at all. It's up to you. Thanks for stopping by. Have a good one. Thanks for watching.